Hi, Levi.
Hey. This is weird. I don't know how to...
We don't even have a name for our...
Well, we kind of
podcast.
did a long time ago.
But I'm not sure.
But I didn't know if we were like serious about it or not.
What was it? What was our name?
It was like Techies Talk. And the idea was that if you frame it like that, it could be Techies Talk this and Techies Talk that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't hone us in on...
Let me search in Slack.
On one thing.
That's what you do in Slack. Search for things.
Unless it was, more than 10,000 messages ago, because we're on the free plan.
Right.
But I highly doubt we've had
I'd be interested in what our metrics are, because we're a year in now.
We are.
Like
yeah.
One year, just about exactly.
I am on several Slacks now because it's how I live my life. And there is another Slack I'm on where we have eclipsed 10,000 messages, and I haven't really seen the effects of that yet.
I'm guessing it's not just you and one person.
No. It's a church thing. I convinced someone to start a Slack for their church, and then he hoodwinked me into joining it to help teach people how to use Slack. And then I got Brittany on there, and now it's where we talk. So it's really weird.
So do you, on the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's weird. So you don't have like we have a Philip and Levi.
Right. Yeah. I don't have one like that with Brittany. Yeah.
You don't have a Brit by.
No, I need one because this was when we were thinking about maybe moving and helping.
Are y'all not moving now?
No.
You're going to stick where you're at?
Yeah.
I always thought that was a better idea, but I was going to let you figure that out.
Well, we might still move, but we're not moving to that town, that city.
What city?
Benton.
Oh, okay. What you were thinking about. For church reasons too.
Yeah, to help out, but that's not happening. But we're in the
But you were going to
in the Slack.
Flip the house exactly a year later, put it on the market.
Well, 2 years.
Get out of here.
Yeah, but it's been 3 years.
But you're
now.
not going to. Yeah, there you go.
And we're still not finished. So.
Staying in a house is so much easier than not staying in a house.
Yeah, and there's things now. It's like she wants to do certain things, and if we do that, I don't want to move. Like
absolutely.
If we put heated floors in, I'm not moving.
Oh my god!
Why would I need to move if we have heated floors? That's not just a normal feature of a house.
No.
If we do that, why would I move?
Let me know how that goes.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen.
That sounds just incredible.
It's way above my pay grade. Everyone says it's super easy to do. They're like, it's just like a heated blanket.
All those people,
how do you think?
I hate those people.
Why do you think I know what a heated blanket and how that works?
So God loved those people, but people that grew up with families that always did stuff, and so they learned like from the age they were 6 how to do like everything electrical, carpentry, construction. Like, good on you, but like that doesn't mean that I know what you know how to do.
Yeah, no.
If you want to come help me do it, though,
there we go. And I'll fix your computer or
absolutely.
Whatever.
That's absolutely
whatever I can do. I'll make a slideshow for you. Yep. I'll make a video, but
Slack training.
Yes, I'll teach you how to use Slack.
Better your life.
And that will actually make your life better. The other reason I don't want to move is our neighbor. He's the best neighbor I've ever had, ever.
Nice.
Like, he's great. And he's an electrician, so he's the perfect counterpart to me because he knows how to do all these things that I don't know how to do.
Absolutely.
And he will come and help me do them.
Heck yeah.
So why would I ever move?
Which he's not going to if you move.
No, yeah. He's definitely not going to come with me. He might. I think he likes me, but...
That's good.
So podcasting.
Podcasting, and most podcasts all podcasts have a name?
Yeah. I don't even like Techies Talk, but I was trying to think...
Let's not name it Techies Talk then.
Okay, here's what I was trying to accomplish with that is we're not... I think we want to talk like news, current events, things that are going on in technology, right? But we don't want to just be that.
No, we don't.
So it's like, how do you find a name that kind of gives you freedom to be more flexible?
Absolutely. So here's some of the notes that I've been taking. I take lots of notes. You know that? I have
do.
1,579 notes.
Not about the podcast.
Notes. Not about the podcast. Not that many about the podcast.
Side question: what is the limit?
I have heard. So I happened upon this on Twitter that, and I don't know who it was now. I think Bradley Chambers was involved, but this Dr. Drang was involved. This could totally not be true. But on Twitter, I saw some people talking about this, and somebody said at 2,000 it starts to maybe break down.
You're getting close.
So I'm getting close to the like Evernote CGP Grey point
issue
of no return, where it's like, well, you have so much in there you can't leave, but you can't add. So like, what you can do about that?
I'm only at 570.
There you go.
But I use it so much more now because it's how I take notes.
Well, and granted, like, and you know, we know some things about computers, but we don't know a lot of things about computers. But I have a lot of notes that are like one sentence.
Yeah.
You know, so how much does that really, like, if you have 2,000 notes that are one sentence, I'm guessing it doesn't break down, but who knows? I mean, like, you can only have 100 VIPs. So, and that's it, which is totally dumb. But didn't Gruber say there's a way to get around that on the Mac, I guess? But anyways, so
the first thing that we're talking about is the last question on our list of questions.
Oh, is it the last question?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Yeah, what's the name going to be?
So, well, but to me, here's the thing, is that the name of the podcast is informed by like everything what do we want the podcast to be? And why do we want the podcast to be that way? And why should we even have a podcast is like the first question.
Well, that answer's obvious. We want to talk.
I agree. So that
we have no one else to talk to about these things.
That is absolutely the case, and I'm glad you agree. But then, I guess, do we care at all if anyone ever listens to a single word that is said on the show that will not be called Techies Talk?
Because it's a terrible name.
Because there are better names, not because it's a terrible name.
It's terrible. It's okay. Because as soon as I say it, I think it sounds like Trekkies.
Tech ease, and then it almost sounds like tech ease, like easy talk. No, it's not. It's terrible. You're right. You convinced me.
It's bad.
You convinced me.
It's bad, but it was generic enough.
It is generic. So and that gets us to the point where, these notes are hard to read because I was giving him Siri on my way to work this morning. So
like when you Siri sad face to me, and it just said
Siri thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up. Yeah.
So I told Siri I pushed my Siri button in my car
on your watch or
in my car.
CarPlay. Okay.
And CarPlay, and I said, tell Levi or send Levi a thumbs up. And I was like, surely you can do this. Like, obviously people want to do this.
Well,
emoji are used.
You probably just needed to add emoji, right?
I don't know. See, and I was about to try to do that and I got busy not crashing or something. But because I was like, well, what else could I say? Because what it sent you was, quote unquote, a thumbs up. So I'm guessing, like, what could I have said? Like, thumbs up emoji? I'm guessing if I say send Levi a thumbs up emoji or thumbs up emoji, it's going to send you quote unquote. It's just going to send a string. I mean, it's just... Yeah. It's just, so and there's the fragmentation of Siri to where, like, maybe if I do that on the phone directly, CarPlay is really weird because it runs on the phone, but it's on the car, and CarPlay Siri is different than Siri on your phone, even though it's running from your phone. It's kind of tricky.
Kind of like Siri on the HomePod is.
Right.
A third class citizen.
It's absolutely in the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch with music is so terrible. Like, it can't create a Genius playlist, can't create a station. It's so bad. I can't imagine. I think maybe they fixed some of that stuff in the most recent one.
I'm still on OG Watch.
No, but so you don't use Siri?
No, because it would take like an hour to work.
I attempt to use Siri a lot. So my exact note, I'll just read it word for word.
A string.
This is from Siri. It says, if we have a tech podcast and Westworld podcast and a Black Mirror episodes podcast, are we really just making a podcast network that is you and I?
Right. Yeah, because we don't.
Is this one show?
We don't have time to have so many podcasts, right?
Right. Well, and it doesn't really. Okay. If we were starting from a point of popularity, then I would say let's have a tech podcast.
Yeah.
And let's have a media podcast.
Mhm.
And maybe there's a third rail as well. But the fact that this is really,
we're not relaying.
This is really never going to be listened to by anybody. I mean, the purpose of this is just because I want to talk to you, and this is the excuse that we can use to actually talk to each other about these things.
Yeah.
Verbally.
Unless there's like some, sad accident that happens and like 50 people listen to it someday,
Right.
Cumulatively.
Right. Okay.
Not per, one episode.
50 downloads, not per episode total. That's
two of them are you and me each episode.
Certainly.
So we're talking about like 5 people maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's the challenge of the name is we don't want to just be pigeonholed into one thing.
So because of that, I thought I had some names in here. Oh, technically speaking was an idea that I had for the name, because I think that obviously serves the technical piece, but in my mind, like the way that I think about media and the way I go through it is not just like, well, did I enjoy it? I like break it down to be like, oh, like that's interesting that he did that because it links to like, it's a technical way of breaking down the media. So to me, it sort of kind of wraps up. I don't think it's a terrible name.
It sounds like your podcast.
Which is why I came up with it.
Because, that doesn't sound like me.
Right. So
it does sound like you.
So what do you think?
I don't hate it. It's better than Techies Talk.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Although it is very similar though. Technically speaking, Techies Talk. It's kind of the same thought process, but it's better. Yeah. Because Techie is terrible.
I agree. Might as well call it like fanboy Fallout or something.
Or Apple apologists. That could be a.
Oh man.
Because let's be honest, that's probably what we're going to talk about most in terms of tech.
Is Apple?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Because
absolutely,
why wouldn't we? I don't have an Android product, so I can't speak to that.
Have you ever used an Android product?
Just when I'm with my mother and she needs help with something.
I'm sorry.
And I have no idea how to help her.
I'm sorry. I have never used... Well, so I take that back. My mother-in-law had an Android phone it was a HTC Hero. It was when I had no, I didn't even have a 3GS yet. That's a whole we'll get into history later. I didn't have a phone for a long time because I didn't want to pay for a data plan. An iPhone. So she had a HTC Hero, and that was on like the second, like it was like Butterfinger or whatever,
because they do
cupcake
candy names,
right?
A through Z.
It was, and like all I did was like try to fix something for us. I've never used an Android phone for like any amount of time, basically.
I was with my mom a week ago, and she handed me her phone and said,
"What kind of phone does she have?"
I don't even know. It's a Samsung.
Is it a $150 Android phone?
No, it's a nice phone. I mean, it's
Samsung S5.
I think it's one of their newer phones, but because it's like, it's kind of like edge to edge. It looked like an OLED screen to me, just because it was so. Well,
they went OLED early.
Yeah,
too early.
I don't know what model, but it seems new. I mean, she got it not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But she handed me her phone and said, "Hey, can you figure out why these ads are popping up when I'm trying to like open the phone?" And I couldn't figure it out. Like, it's some app that she installed is doing it, but there's no easy way to pinpoint it. And I was like, Apple would never let something like this.
Are they just like ads from companies?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's when you go to like you swipe up or whatever to get to the keypad entry because she doesn't have the face recognition set up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally an ad.
So it's like special offers.
I guess, but it's before you can even get to the keypad. Kindle? I do. I've never had a Kindle, so I've never seen how that behaves. But I guess it's something like that. But I'm like, you can't even get to the key to put your passcode in without seeing a freaking ad.
Right. I mean,
It's gross.
how different is that though than the notifications that Apple allows from everyone under the sun that wants to tell you about their new widget that's available in the app because we want to tell you about something so you use our app again.
It's way different.
It's way different. And then, but there was a recent controversy like last week that like Apple's sending people a notification saying, hey, Apple Music is out here. Come try a free month again. Maybe.
Well, but in their defense, people should absolutely try it.
There you go. You're right about that. But
yeah, no, it was just so.
You're protective of your notifications, right?
Yeah, I mean,
not as much as you wish you were.
I'm more badges more upset me than the notifications on the screen.
Yeah.
Partly because it's not so different from how they work on every phone, but the experience on the 10 with, as soon as you raise and then you unlock the notifications, but you can just sometimes I don't even see them because I'm already swiping to go home.
Did you on your 7 and on your 6? No. Sorry. On your 7, because in iOS 10 is when they started unlocking with the home button, but not going to the home screen with the home button.
I did turn that on, but it was so fast with the 7 that because you had to actually either hit the lock button or hit the home button, and the Touch ID 2 was so fast that it almost didn't even work for me because I just couldn't get the rhythm of it. Even with the raise to wake, it just wasn't. I would always end up unlocking it, and so it wasn't as effective on that for me.
Did you push the home button to unlock it, or did you set that accessibility setting so all you had to do was put your finger on it?
I probably was. Well, I don't feel like I was pushing it.
Yeah. But
of course, my brain is so broken now.
Can you push the iPhone 7 home button? Is that even...
Well, exactly, yeah.
So speaking of, the thing that I wanted to tell you in the car yesterday that I wanted Slack to be able to send a voice message for was that I got my iPhone 8 from work a couple days ago. So this is my first experience with
the virtual home button.
The virtual home button with 3D touch with... it's my first experience since my 6 that I used for 2 years with that size again. So it's interesting.
And here you are with your...
It's too big.
Your SE.
It's a two-handed device.
It is, but...
And I like to use my phone one-handed.
Yeah.
And they're never going to release another iPhone SE.
That's maybe not true. I mean... Well,
let me take that back. If they release an iPhone SE, it's going to have the iPhone 7 processor, so it's dead to me.
The 7's good, though. I mean, it's pretty good.
But I'm not going to buy... The iPhone SE came... I bought my iPhone SE when the 7 came out, so like...
But it had the 6S in it.
Yes, it does. And it's really not...
That's always going to be the problem, though, with the SE. Like, they're never going to put...
But see, that wasn't a problem. With the original SE, it was 6 months after and had all the same... And almost everything. It has first generation Touch ID, so second generation Touch ID. This is my first experience with that.
But it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing as it was the first time. If it comes out, in the next month or so.
No, so
if they put the 7
it was like
in
the first time, because it came out 6 months after the 6S and it had the 6S processor and the 6S RAM and the 6S camera.
Is more than 6 months. Okay.
So no. This is 18 months after the 7.
I got you. I'm on board with you now. But in terms of processors, it's still only one generation behind.
But it wasn't a generation behind when it came out. It was half a generation behind. It would be 1.5.
Okay.
It's a big difference. Especially, and it's the biggest difference becomes 2 years later when you get iOS 13. That's when you're really going to feel the hit between the A10 and the A11. You don't feel it immediately, but even 12 months later, 18 months later, 24 months later, you're going to seriously feel that hit.
Yeah. But most people that probably buy the SE aren't like you.
No, you're absolutely... Well, so I wonder how many of myself and Moltz there are in the SE crowd. Now, who writes the great blog? I'm not going to remember the guy's name. There's this great blog that collects a bunch of like when something big happens in the Apple community, he will go and collect like all the big players' responses to it. And so you just get like what Gruber said, what Marco said, what Daniel Jacquet said, what this guy said. It's not Pixel Envy, which is another good blog. Pull up my RSS feed to see who this is. Come on. Michael Sy. Michael Sy has an iPhone SE, and he's as technical as I'll get it. So, I mean, there's some of us, but you're right that most people buying the SE are buying it because it's cheap.
Yeah. Or, it just fits their hand better. Or
because, I mean, they don't have to get a new case if their case is still in good condition. Or, I mean,
they're upgrading from the 5S.
No, I mean, I'm sure that there are still a notable amount of people that have the 5S and are getting an SE. Because the 6 is large, especially if you have small hands, then like that's a serious two-handed device. Like I don't have small hands and I still don't want to use it with one hand.
It's almost better if you have small hands though.
Because then you know you're going to use it with two.
Yeah, there's no question.
That's where I've had to get myself, because like I have this 8 and I'm just like, well, I use this with two hands. And if I want to use something one-handed, then pick up the SE. And I guess even CGP Grey, right? I mean, he's got an SE at home.
His pocket
we
phone,
could
his
have,
couch
we
phone.
could have a whole episode about the phones and the reasons CGP Grey has had them and how long he has had them and why he's gone away from them. Because to me, like...
Well, but that would just be Cortex.
It's a partition. So an interesting part, I was looking at this, speaking of names.
Back to names
and what the podcast is for and what it's going to be about. I was thinking like, what is the description for Cortex? Do you know what the description for Cortex is?
I mean, it's on the art, right?
On the, yeah.
I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I never even knew it. But I was like, I know it's there. The description for Cortex is that they get together and talk about how they work. I think it's like what it is.
And the first episode is basically...
Let me confirm that.
How one of them hates
working lot. Yes. CGP Grey and Mike Hurley are both independent content creators. Each episode, they get together to discuss their working lives. And that's Cortex, right? And it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, the beginning episodes of Cortex are some of the best stuff. Their home screen talk, that first episode is just gold. Oh man. But so that's Cortex. So then I was like, well, what's recognizable differences, right? What's the description?
Because all those relay podcasts have very simple artwork with a simple tag. You know,
right.
I guess it's...
So John Syracuse and Emerly Man try to figure out exactly how they got this way.
I don't know if that's really what the show is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But to me, like that's how we get to a name is we figure out like that piece. And to me, that gets us halfway to a name, I think. Because otherwise I don't think we get to a name if we don't know what it's about. Because so here was a question that I came up with is like, questions for Levi. What are things we want to or should talk about? Are there any things that we like don't want to or that we shouldn't talk about because they're not interesting enough? But I mean, they just gotta be interesting to us, you know?
Yeah.
They don't bring enough. I don't like if there's, privacy stuff, but again, nobody's listening. So, I don't know.
Well, and it's like, what can we even speak authoritatively?
Well, that's the other thing that I had credentials in here, but it's like, are we worried? So are we worried at all about people listening to this and it being interesting to them? Is I think
it goes back to the crux of, do we even care if anybody ever listens?
No one's ever going to listen to it, whether we want them to or not, is
True.
The thing about it. So I just feel like we got to talk about the stuff that we're interested in talking about. And that's the podcast.
How did we get this way? I mean, yeah, but we know what we want to talk about. We want to talk about Apple stuff. We want to talk about current events when it's something relevant to us.
Right.
Or that we care about.
Right. Or that's just interesting.
Yeah. But it's not like an Apple news show
that we have a read on. Yeah.
You know, necessarily. It's not like an upgrade.
Not all of it.
No. Or connected.
Although it's interesting that you mentioned upgrade. Because I've noticed upgrade, especially more recently, upgrade has talked about some stuff for a long time because they're interested in talking about it. And some stuff, like the Facebook thing, like I guess Jason Snell said on the most recent podcast, like maybe we'll talk about it, maybe we won't. Like, yeah, it's a big deal, but we're not that interested, Mike and I, in talking about it. Go listen to Download if you want to hear me talk about it with analyst after analyst. Do you listen to Download?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that it's of course sort of could be like upgrade to where like we hit the news that we're interested in talking about. We talk about it as much as we want to,
and then have a main topic,
and then stuff, and and then have a main topic, and
that may or may not be like newsy. It could be something more evergreen,
right?
Like our favorite video games.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But we want to talk about Apple. We want to talk about current events. We want to talk about just like the tech industry, the interesting parts of the tech industry. Like the fact that, did you see that we finally found out how many Prime members there are? 100 million?
You know, this isn't a Levi story. And how does this change my life? Knowing how many Prime numbers there are.
No, how many Prime members?
Oh, members.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
I
heard Prime numbers and I was like, how would we ever know that? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
So we got a number file, gotta bring that in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I thought, just assuming you're a math person.
You bet, man.
Person was the best word I could use.
Non-countable.
Yeah.
It's infinity, but is it a large infinity or a small infinity? Who knows?
Yeah, that was interesting. That was an interesting story because he's never specific.
Right.
Bezos.
Do you listen to Subnet?
Mm-mm.
You need to do that.
Is that a relay?
Yes, I told you how to do this. You got an Echo Dot. Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the Stephen Hackett.
Yeah, 3 stories. That's where I learned about it. I was in my kitchen earlier. With Stephen Hackett.
I actually do need to do that, but I'm still new to the whole Echo experience.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
I'm new to the whole talking cylinder experience, and I got them within a week of each other.
I can't believe you have a HomePod. It just blows my mind.
I don't know why that blows your mind.
The fact that you don't have the fact that this is what things hit me in the car all the time, so I'll mention that. But I was just
because you have a relatively long commute.
45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. I'm driving to work, and I'm like, why in the world does he have a HomePod and not a Series 4? None of this makes sense. None of it.
Well, you mean Series 3?
Yeah, I mean Series 3. You're right.
I probably will have a Series 4.
You said Series 4 in the topics, which is why you got me off on that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I will definitely get. There's no doubt about that.
But you're on a Series
1.
2. Oh, I thought you went Series 2, but I guess you just went Series 1.
Swim. And I believe in the waterproofness already and always have. We can talk about that too.
I'm not even wearing my watch right now because it can't even make it through the day anymore. Yeah.
Oh man.
It was at 2% when I was about to leave.
So Blair uses my Series 0, but so she will put it on before she leaves for work at 6:30 p.m. and go work. And sometimes it was lasting until like midnight for like half a shift. So she did what
Is
Serenity
38?
No, it's 42. It's my 42.
Your old one.
My old one. So she did. So I told her to do what Serenity did from the get-go. Like the second day that Serenity had her Series 0 watch, she's skating. So her arms are all over the place. So her screen's coming on all the freaking time when she's not looking at it. So she just said, I'm just not going to race to wake. And I'm just going to get used to hitting the button every time I want to see the screen. I don't know if she still does this.
Probably not because the battery's so much better now.
Maybe so. But I was like, well, try this, Blair. She was like, well, if you'll make it do that, then I'll have it do that. And it lasts her. I mean, she comes home with like battery spare now.
What I've started doing in the evenings is I'll turn on the theater mode or whatever that's called. Yeah. Which is basically the same thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've been doing
that dynamically. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's been helping, but for some reason today it ran out even faster than normal.
It does that, man. Like mine will hit like sometimes. Let's see what I'm at right now. I'm at 24% right now, but sometimes like I'll be driving home and it'll be like, hey, 10% left. I'm like, yeah, why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did that happen today?
You know, like if I work out, that's one thing.
Well, I don't do that. So
No,
it's definitely not that.
But
I have been walking up an extra flight of stairs now because I recently changed roles at work. So maybe that's it. Like the extra walking. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why.
it's that altitude, man.
Other than it's just old. And quick side
Well,
note.
it is old.
Does this mean my hard drive's dead? I'm showing you a picture of
Probably so.
my 2011 MacBook.
Yeah, with just a cancel sign.
Yeah, that's not good. That's
not good.
That's the machine that Brittany uses to teach at night.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Is that your 2011?
Yeah,
Hmm.
the one I was telling you that I up the RAM. And
Well, I mean, yeah, that's something.
I feel like that happened to me not too long ago though, and I
Pro
did
is
something
really nice.
that like I recovered
It's really big,
and it.
and that smart keyboard. I miss the smart
Yeah.
keyboard so.
I should have shown you
badly.
that. Sorry.
It's all right. Miss you.
It's weird because I can't get my laptop out either because it will probably not as much as the iPad
Why?
would bother you.
Why?
I don't know. I would think maybe the laptop wouldn't.
False. I don't use a Mac anymore.
Oh, yeah,
it's
so
a
it's even
it's a semi
worse.
travesty, but at the same time, it is what it is.
If I went to work tomorrow and they were like, "Hey, Levi, we're not using Macs anymore. You're gonna have to use Windows." That would seriously be enough for me to start looking for another job. I'm just so
understand that.
spoiled now.
So that makes sense to me, especially for you because of what you're doing. Like for me, the way I reconcile it is that like the work that I do for the company I work for and the work that the company does, it would just be a ball of wax on a Mac. Like, I mean, the software we use is built for like 8 companies in the world. So like it's not running on a Mac.
Yeah.
It may only be running on Linux, you know? So it may not even be running on Windows, you know? So you might be just puttying right in and that's how you're going to do work because I mean, we use software that only runs on Linux. So, so it just, that's work. I mean, that's, I mean, I have my iPad, like I'll use my iPad for email at work and just like, you know, annotating documents when that sort of stuff happens because we have a lot of documentation that does pop up. And so, I mean, I've done some of that on my iPad and there's one Mac, at work. It's a Mac Pro. It's a trash can Mac Pro. It is in a room all by itself.
Interesting.
Two monitors, hooked up to it, 2 cinema displays.
What's it doing?
It is used to create a badge. It's used for photos for badges.
What?
Actually, I mean, it's used by communications is what it's used for. I know it's used for badge photos because it's the room where you take your badge photo. Because they have like lights and all this. They have the whole setup there with like a background and all this sort of stuff to get good badge photos.
Yeah, your badge pictures, nice.
Thank you. They have not always been nice. You can tell when people got hired by the quality of their badge photo. But Robert Garcia, is that his name? He does a good job.
Maybe someday
he
he'll listen.
He uses the only
to
Mac.
this
It is not.
podcast.
It is not connected. It is not connected to the network. It is in a room by itself, hooked up to displays, and you just feed photos to it. And you work
so
on
you
photos
can't
on
even
it.
really
And
do anything fun on it.
oh no. But I take that back. There is that, and then here's the crazy thing: the one Mac laptop that goes around his PP on a daily basis is the manager of cybersecurity, who has a Mac. He has a PC. It's his personal Mac. He has a PC that the business gave him, but he uses a Mac and he knows the way that you VPN into the system from a Mac. They're kind of complicated, and I need to get with him at some point, possibly. But I don't think I'm going to take my 2010 and actually work on it.
Yeah.
So I would have to like buy one. So it's not going to happen.
Apparently, I'm not going to be doing any work on my 2011.
Apparently not.
Anymore.
Well, best of luck.
I'm going to try and save it, resuscitate it,
Best of luck.
bring it back to life.
So that reminds me of the 1993 PowerBook 180C. that I bought from the Conway Public Library in my junior year of high school. So that would have been 2005, 2006. I walked in there and they were having
an old machine.
They were having a book sale, and among the books.
Oh, so you weren't buying this to use for any real?
No, it was just it was awesome. It has a trackball. It has a keyboard that is just like, you know, a solid sandwich thick. You know, it's got like an 8.4 inch screen, but the laptop is as big as a 13 inch. So it's got bezels.
It's got bezels for days.
It's got bezels for days. It's got like 250. Well, I never even saw colors because when I went to turn it on, so I bought it for like $2, I think, $3 maybe.
That's a steal.
It was great. Like I didn't even care if it worked. Like I just wanted to like type on this thing and like push this trackball. But it was like the nickel cadmium battery was like all acid. I mean, it was just acid all over the place, you know, powder. So when I tried to turn it on, it powered on, but it just gave me a sad Mac. Saddest Mac ever. Yeah. Not the cancel, but an actual, you know, the happy Mac. Well, there's a sad Mac. And it makes a very, very depressing sound, especially from those speakers, because there was a limited range. Oh, man, it was just a groan. And I mean, I took all the screws out and I tried to. In fact, I actually bought. So then in my freshman year of college, during some lull or during a procrastination period, probably so, I actually bought a floppy drive to try to install System 7 on it, because that's the problem is it had no OS. And it just never did work out. I think there's hardware problems with it. I mean, what are you going to do? But at that same book sale, I bought my my Pentium 2 400 megahertz PC with 192 megabytes of RAM and a 6 gigabyte hard drive. Mind you, this is 2006. And I put that in my room, and I got a Wi-Fi USB adapter, and I got my house. I said, "Hey, parents, we need a wireless router." And then I streamed, and then I got a little adapter so that I could plug component video into a TV and VGA in one side, so that I could get my computer on my 32-inch enormous tube TV that was in my room. It was early, man. Early days. I was not messing around.
That was 2006.
That was 2006.
Man. And you were what year?
Junior in high school. I graduated in 2007.
I forgot that you were younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were older than me.
1 year.
You seem much older than me.
Why?
I don't know. You just seem much more mature than me.
Really? I never think of myself as such.
Like, you care about things that are way more, you know,
like what?
Like adult than things that I tend to care about.
Like what?
I don't know, like math and knowing things about your own company that you work for. And
I mean, that's just always been the case.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess that's just stuff normal.
That's just personality. Yeah.
Yeah, people would think things important. I don't know.
Yeah, just depends on who you are.
Yeah.
You have a lot going for you too. Like,
we still haven't come up with a podcast name, so we don't have that going for us.
We haven't. I mean, we've only been recording for 40 minutes. Is that real?
38 minutes. 38 minutes and 45 seconds.
Wow. Okay. And you wonder how a talk show gets to 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
So speaking of that, I do wonder.
I don't want to do a 3-hour show. That's what you're wondering.
No, that's not what I'm wondering. But I wonder. So there's conversations we could have if this ever actually becomes a thing, and then there's the question of like, do we want to have those conversations now? Of like, if this was actually a thing that people listen to, would we want it to be like highly edited, like Cortex is, where they like record for way longer than they actually release, right? Or would we want it to be like the talk show where it's like they talk and then they release it, you know, or Upgrade, which is just like.
I lean more towards that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially because you're the one that would
be editing
it if it's going to be edited.
It's not so much that as it is just the style of the show that I would want.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know, I mean.
You ever listen to Welcome to Macintosh? You should definitely listen to the first season of that is gold. Oh, it's so good. Did you ever listen to Inquisitor?
You're always asking me if I listen to podcasts, and I'm always like, No.
Sometimes you say yes. You listen to download. Are you listening to Somehow I Manage?
No.
Oh, you gotta listen to Somehow I Manage. Do you know what Somehow I Manage is?
No.
Pay attention, Levi. Somehow I Manage is Tiff Arment and Micah Sargent going one episode at a time through The Office, and it is
Oh, okay,
gold.
yeah. I did hear them talking about that.
Good stuff.
Well, the thing is, I'm hesitant about something like that because I love The Office.
They do too.
I know, but
For all the right reasons, to a certain extent.
But it, it's one of those things where it's like, what if they notice more than I do?
They will. Oh my gosh.
But then that'll ruin my.
It doesn't.
The way I see myself through the lens of The Office.
Do you know that Dwight is singing Drummer Boy in the very first episode of The Office?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's putting stuff in his desk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, the only version of Drummer Boy that you can sing anymore.
And then Angela sings Drummer Boy in a later Christmas episode.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
I think that was season 3?
It's a really good show.
Because Karen Filippelli was there.
Yeah.
And I always give my wife a hard time about Karen Filippelli because I'm always like, that's who Jim should have ended up with, just to mess with my wife because,
So my wife has watched The Office all the way through 3 times in the last probably 3.5 or 4 months because she's in grad school and she puts it on while she studies, and she studies a lot.
I've probably watched the first 7 seasons all the way through 3 times.
Right.
Probably the first 4 or 5 seasons.
In what time period?
Even more than that.
Not 3 months. But
yeah,
like
not recently. Yeah, but I've only seen 8 and 9 one time.
Yeah.
And I've only seen the finale one time. I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah, the finale is good.
Because in my mind, the finale is Michael gets on the plane and leaves, and that's it.
We got to talk about something else. But speaking of talking about things, so we want to talk about Apple. We want to talk about interesting parts.
Now I want to have an Office episode.
We want to talk about interesting parts of the tech industry. We want to talk about current events. We want to talk about TV shows, movies, video games, of which I have played very few.
Yeah, I'm still perturbed that you haven't.
Don't
because come on, it's great.
Well, yes, yeah. Listen,
and the second one's coming, so like you actually have pressure now.
So here's the story on that: is that
it's The Last of Us, by the way.
Yeah,
we should probably say that.
I thought we wouldn't just like leave people hanging. Like, what are they talking about? The second one's coming. Frozen. So I played. I think I'm at like 40%ish, 30%. I don't know, 31% comes to mind. And I did that all in that house. And then we moved a year and a half ago. Gracious.
But the setup now is better, right? Because you could actually play games and not disturb your children.
Well, that was true back then too. Because I played in my room. I mean, that's where they get played.
Oh, okay.
But it's just so hard. Like I tried to get into it like 8 months after I'd been out of it.
Yeah, that you probably just have to start
hard.
Over, yeah.
I was just like, and I can't just like start it. So I've just had a really hard time getting into it, and it's just. I was in a different spot back then.
At this point, I would even be satisfied if you just went and watched a playthrough.
And I'm not going to do that because, like, I share enough with John Syracuse that, like, that is just out of the question. But I do think I'll mark it down to easy because I'm on normal.
Oh yeah.
I should have done that long ago. And you know why I feel totally okay about that is because of John Syracuse. And
I play most things on easy. That. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that
John Syracuse. Do you know what I'm talking about when he talked about? I mean, it's just incredible. It was just peak Syracuse.
Well, people that say you shouldn't play it on easy, they don't have kids, and all they do is play games. Yeah. Like that's true for the most part, right?
That's true. That's a serious segment.
I have very limited time, and so I'm gonna. Amen. I wanna get through the story.
But we should talk about video games, and we can talk about like why we play video games, why we don't play video games, and all that other stuff. We could talk about. We could talk about cars. Not at all.
I don't know what I would contribute to that conversation.
That's fine.
I mean, you can talk about it.
I think you have something interesting to contribute. I think you have like you're like a control, and I could be the experimental almost sort of thing. I think there's like for video games, like I would be the control.
Yeah, that's
and
you'd
be. I think. I mean, maybe that's our podcast name.
Now, I would love to have a new car. But it's just not in the bag.
Save it for the cars episode. Okay.
I'm going to drive my car until it explodes.
I have a new car, and you should. And I'm planning on doing that with my car for all sorts of reasons that will be shared in the cars episode.
This is hard for me. I want to talk about things, and you're just like, no, we're just talking about the things we might talk about someday.
We have to do that. If you want to Mr. Show it, then
episode 0.
You should have called in episode -1.
Mr. Show.
Talk about. Have you ever watched that? Have you ever watched that segment that they always refer to?
No, I watched the. I watched like the one they did kind of recently. That it wasn't really Mr. Show, but it was kind of Mr. Show.
But you've never watched the Mr. Show.
I've never watched the actual Mr. Show.
But you never watched the segment that they always talk about. Why didn't? No. If you wanted to talk about dogs, you should have called back when we were recording. No, you got to watch that. So I watched it in the bathroom at Building 20 one time, and I was just like, I'm so glad I watched this. It's
a little more than I wanted to know, but
you're gonna know it.
Okay,
you're gonna know it. It was in the middle of a Python class that I was teaching. We were taking a break, and
they were doing labs.
They were doing labs, man.
Yeah,
they were doing labs. I liked teaching Python. I liked using Python. But anyways,
there was talk one day of you showing me some Python, and then we never got around to it.
Like my last day. It was like my third to last day. You were like, hey, before you go. I was like, well, I'm kind of busy, but I'd love to. But it's kind of like, I'd love to stay. I do miss Axiom.
Boom.
But I like where I am at. It's been good. It ebbs and flows. It's tough because it's a learning curve, but much, much steeper. But I feel like I've attained a lot of knowledge, which is good.
If that's what you're into.
I am. I hate ignorance. I was thinking that I was walking up and down the stairs.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be difficult for you.
And I hate, it just bothers the heck out of me when I don't know about stuff. And I basically go 1 week to another. Like 1 week, they're asking me to do stuff and I have no idea how to do it. And then they show me how to do it. And then the next week they're like, okay, we're finishing that stuff up. And I'm like, I can finish it up. I know what I'm doing. You told me. You should. Yeah. And then the week after that, it's like, hey, here's the new stuff now, especially because there's a lot of stuff that we do, especially with regard to compliance, that's on an annual cycle. So I've been there 11 months. And so I've just been hitting all new stuff. So I think like my second year there, my third year there could be like a completely different experience because it's going to be not the first time that I'm changing a password and making sure it gets updated everywhere and doesn't break everything. And it's not going to be my first time to figure out this issue and that. So anyways.
Yeah.
But anyways. I hate ignorance. Like just not knowing.
You know what I was thinking just now?
What were you?
Is what do we sound like on Smart Speed?
Hey, now that's interesting.
Because we wouldn't have all these.
That could be like the most redeemable part of releasing this podcast. What do we sound
hearing
like?
Ourselves on Smart Speed.
That'll be interesting.
I can't listen to the radio now.
Oh my gosh. Like, I will say, I have been listening to Upgrade Live a fair amount, because they do a good bit of talk before and after sometimes, which I like to get in on. I'm just working during that time and going to get lunch and that sort of stuff. So, a lot of times I'll catch like the first half of it and then I'll get the last half of it on the way home after they release it. But it is tough. And Voice Boost too. Like Voice Boost is top notch, and it's tough too because I don't know if it was just the other day. I think it was the other day. Usually it hadn't been this way, but like Jason was like way louder than Mike or vice versa. And on the live, and I mean, in post, it was going to be fine. Right.
Yeah.
But like, it was like I had to find like the middle range where like Jason wasn't too quiet. Mike's, oh man, I was like, this is why you don't listen to it live. Right.
Professional podcasters.
Right. What do we sound like on Smart Speed? And a Voice Boost. I can't believe that.
Well, and you probably don't hear your voice as much as I hear my voice.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah. Does it bother you?
That's weird to say. No, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I will say, this isn't my first. So when I was 10 years old, let's say, my friend Philip and I we used to record to a boombox that was in his room, and we recorded a radio show, and we would just go back and forth acting like a caller and being the host, and then he would act like a caller and I would be the host, and we just go back and forth. And we had a show about Survivor. We had a show, we had topic shows, and it's destiny.
Yeah. Who are you pulling for? Kelly or Richard?
I didn't watch much of the first season.
Man.
I got into it really in the second season.
Well,
Sorry.
okay. Tina or Colby?
I was Colby was going to win,
But he didn't win.
but he didn't win. But then didn't he win later though?
No.
No, who am I
No.
thinking of?
Probably Boston Rob,
No, who am I thinking
who
of?
played 5 times.
Until he won. It's just come on, guy.
Right.
Colby, there was another C name that won. It was just a lock, and it was who cares if you want him to win? I don't know who it was. A little later on.
I was very obsessed
You're
with
right.
Survivor in the early days.
Okay.
Yeah.
We still watch it every episode.
Yeah, I
It's a
haven't
great
watched
show.
it.
It's a really good show. For all the reasons
long
Syracuse says it's a really good show.
I think the last time I watched it was the first time they did Heroes and Villains,
Okay.
which was a long time ago.
First time was a long
I think that
time
was
ago.
season 16,
Yeah.
and they're
It's still really good. They have such a solid format. I mean, it's just so rock solid. And
Yeah.
and Probst is just a really good. He's gotten so good at announcing and doing play-by-play for, and because he'll egg them on. I mean, he'll be like so and so is just giving up the ghost.
just doing nothing.
Right. No, he will do it. and to me, it's interesting to think about the fact that they're hearing him say that
Yeah.
as they're totally flopping, this is something else. And he's getting them to talk a lot more at tribal council. So it's more than just come in and be oh, which I don't get that because if I was a tribal council, I would not say a word about who I'm voting for. I would not give any inclination.
Right.
I don't understand.
It's suicide.
But I feel like some of these people are well, the producers told me I had to say something, and I can't help but say what's on my mind. But I'll say anything but the name of the person. I feel like that's almost a really important skill to have in survival, though, is to be able to talk without saying anything, and people are not good at that.
I think I'd do all right.
I think you do. Although you would blurt some stuff.
Yeah, I would probably go too
That
far.
would happen.
Yeah, that would happen.
That would happen.
Yeah.
You'd be golden until one day, and then you'd be "Can I work with Amy?" And then,
Gosh, yeah.
sorry,
Too soon.
Sorry. Yeah.
Another thing we have to contend with
Not a year.
are these
It's
trains.
not been a year, so
I wonder if the trains are picking up.
we'll see. I doubt it. There was an owl out here earlier, and that owl sounded just like an Alexa timer expiring, to the point where Hosea started saying, "Alexa, turn off." I told you that I called Hosea Alexa gymnastics the other day.
Yeah.
As loud as possible. He was messing with some kid. So I'm
Alexa, stop.
So I'm 20 feet away. I gotta get the kid's attention to quit messing with the kids. So I'm Alexa, Hosea.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? That's
Hey, Alexa.
yeah. That could be I feel like that's a scenario for a Black Mirror episode.
Maybe. I mean, they have the same amount of syllables, and they have the same last syllable.
It's similar.
So I mean, that schwa sound at the end is solid. I love schwa sounds, by the way.
Still.
It's the upside down E,
Still.
But still, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting. I mean, we can segue from that to the fact that we have 2 Echo Dot. Well, we can't talk about this yet.
Yeah. Why are you talking about things?
Sorry.
These are things we can talk about someday, but not today.
So I say names. I talk to Siri often. I talk to Alexa often. I talk to Google often. And so it's interesting to parse through and make sure you say the right thing. Cause I've definitely not, because it's not that different than your children when you're running through names.
Oh yeah. I call my
Which
kids
you absolutely do.
my dog's name all
Everyone
the time.
does.
Yeah. But I've never called them Siri or Alexa yet. It'll happen.
You haven't, yeah.
The more I use my HomePod, it's bound to that.
Absolutely.
That you can't believe I have. But
absolutely. We have a lot of things to talk about that we're not talking about because we can't talk about them yet. The other question I had for you, questions for Levi. So I guess, I mean, you've kind of answered this, but your feeling about starting this podcast is that like, we want to actually talk to each other and not just type to each other.
Yeah.
And this is our opportunity to do it.
So when you asked me to do this like 2 or 3 years ago,
A long time ago.
I was like, why? What's the point? I mean,
because we were still seeing each other. Every day.
Well, and I was more like, nobody will ever listen to this. Like, what's in
Which
it
is
for
usually
me?
the reason that you do a podcast.
Yeah. But 3 years later, I'm like, that's not important to me now.
Amen.
So, you know, I'm in a different, what was that?
It's a dog. There's lots, lots of dogs back there.
I'm in a little different spot about it now, you know, where it's like a good use of my time now because it's like human interaction.
Yeah, man.
Whereas before it was like, I got too much like,
right. You had too much human interaction. So
yeah, well, yeah, that too. Especially now that I'm working with all women, you know,
there you go.
I need some guy time.
Talk about moving to SPP and working with there's only one girl on our team, and then it's just that's been the trippiest part.
Yeah,
is like maybe even more than like IT. Like IT is different than HR, but like working with technical guys, like not just guys, but like super smart technical guys. Like they're not Polish, but one of them darn near might as well be. His 7th grade daughter just made a 31 on the ACT.
Oh, well.
And
that was my final score.
Right, good job.
You know, as a senior.
But yeah, she hasn't even had most of that math and still was just like, this one looks good.
Yeah, she's well on her way to a 35 or a 36.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's just bananas.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. But so and the one girl that I work with, she's awesome, but she's kind of like Kelly, but she's quieter.
Which, you know, I don't know why we're talking about people that, you know, we work with or have worked with.
Hey man,
I've been away from her for a while, but now I'm back on the team. She is talking so much more, and when I say that, I mean like in meetings. It's funny how people change. You know, like she's standing up for herself a lot more.
That's good.
And like making sure, you know, the things like that she cares about
starts hitting the fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she used to, like, when stuff started hitting the fan, Kelly would be like, hey, y'all, you see the stuff on the fan? Like, quit it. And I would always love that. I would be like, yeah, listen to Kelly, everybody.
It's interesting to spend, you know, 18 months or really, I guess almost 2 years if you go all the way back to when I wasn't on the team anymore. Gracious. To be away from people in a working environment for that long and then to come back to those same people and see how some are not different and some are very different.
Yeah. Some are just very much the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it to Axiom sometime to visit, and I don't know really how to.
You keep saying that. I don't know how you're going to get there. Like, you expecting me to vouch for you?
Not, yes. I'm expecting Bryn or you or any Lita.
We use Envoy now, which is connected to Slack. So I'll get a DM when you're,
bada bing, bada boom.
At the guard shack. The guard shack is a little low place.
Yes,
yeah.
Speaking of that, so I sing and I talk and
no one does.
And no one does.
Yeah.
No one.
I broke out into the guard shack the other day. And it was when I was still on my old team.
Yeah.
And they have no point of reference for
that. Join, like, how do you not join in on that? I mean,
that's just not their thing.
I do not understand people that don't.
I will say, since we stopped working together, I'm way more productive.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm outputting.
I believe so much more. We joked about that because it was real. Because it was really real.
And it wasn't even like we were, you know, going off on crazy tangents. It's just that
some days it was.
Well, some days
when we needed to,
but it was more like just.
But usually
riffing off each other.
It was,
yeah. Or we play the game where I would try to get a song stuck in your head just by humming it, and it worked like 88% of the time.
At least,
yeah,
at least. And now I have to Counter-Strike. Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, I work next to a guy who's. I mean, he puts up with me to the fullest extent, and we talk a lot, which is good. But he's not a singer as much. But he sang with me today, I think, for the first time. So Maybe we're starting something.
You see, you're breaking them out. It's only taken almost a year. If you had to describe currently, like if comparing, to other podcasts that you listen to, which there are many, how would you describe what's happened in the last hour? Because we just passed the hour mark. How would you describe this using other podcasts that you
I will do
to?
what Amy Elrod told me not to do in power presentations and tell you that's a great question. And I think it's most like it feels a good bit like, I don't know.
I'm going to say it's been more talk show and rec diffs than
talk show
than anything, because they're just tangents, right? You just go off, but then you get back to something. Of course, this whole episode is a tangent because we're trying to figure out.
No, it's very much
what it is.
Very much talk show.
Yeah,
and sometimes I hate the talk show because of that. The talk show gets on my nerves. I know you love the talk show.
It's man.
Is this your favorite?
Yeah, it's probably
save that for that episode.
But. It's my But if I was having to pick like what I would want this to be more like,
right?
I would want it to be more, because like to me, talk shows in the middle of like Upgrade and Rec Diffs in terms of like concentrated
Is it
talk,
concentrated technical, or just like never really not technical very often, more like life talk.
But then Rec Diffs they'll have these great episodes where they'll talk about some movie or game or something that I'm interested in and spend a lot of time on it and go down, real deep into it.
Or talk about dog. Like their episode on dogs is great. I love that episode.
Yeah.
Or their episode, Zaro Droogs. That came to mind. I don't know why. I think I was using Firefox or something and I was like, Zaro Droogs.
That's another term that I've used recently that nobody understood what I was talking about.
Hey, that's solid. Zaro Droogs. I mean, their Cars episode. I enjoy them and I enjoy what they talk about. And so you've never listened to Back to Work, right? Mm. So I started listening to Back to Work on episode 1. I was deep into 5x5, like listen to Build and Analyze as like from episode 1, listen to Hypercritical from episode 1. I've been in the game. I've been in the listening game for a while. I've been listening to some of the talk shows with Dan Benjamin and John Gruber. You didn't listen to any of those, right?
I only started listening to the talk show.
You don't even know who Dan Benjamin is, do you?
2 years ago, or 3 years ago. Yeah. So
wow. So John Gruber used to do the talk show with Dan Benjamin every single episode. Oh, like the talk show was Dan Benjamin and John Gruber.
Did they have a falling out?
And then they had an episode and didn't say anything about it. John Gruber made he said goodbye in a different way than he usually said it. People noticed 2 months after the fact.
Well, that was awkward.
and then he went to Mule Radio and just left Dan Benjamin hanging. And there was all this what happened? Why did he leave? Was it money? And this, that, the other. It was a big deal. Big deal back then.
It's before my time.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if I would like it with a regular host. Did they still have other people on too?
No, it was great.
Oh, it was just them every time.
And because Dan Benjamin is a consummate podcaster. He runs 5x5. I mean, he runs the network.
I don't know what 5x5 is.
So 5x5 is the first podcast network that meant anything to me. I mean, 5x5 is why Relay FM is. I mean, I'm sure that Mike Hurley would tell you that without 5x5, he said it on an episode or two. Mm. Without 5x5, there would be no Relay FM. It was, that's great. Thank you, Dan Benjamin.
Do you ever get people that ask you what kind of podcasts you listen to? I get it a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Cause people know, especially at work, that that's what I'm doing pretty much all day is listening to podcasts or just not listening to them. Right. And so they'll ask, well, what do you listen to? And
no one really asks me what I listen to, which is weird.
Well, I'm thinking
I always have darn near always have my AirPods in, even when they're off.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
But what's weird about AirPods is that people talk to you when you have AirPods in a way that they do not talk with you if you have wired.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they don't notice it as much.
I don't know that they don't notice it because those are incredibly noticeable.
I really think that's it though.
Maybe.
Well, part of it for me though is sometimes I'll only wear one and they just don't see it.
That's legit. Yeah. But wearing two, people talk to you when you're wearing two, right?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the freaking
It's annoying
time.
because I miss like the first 6 or 7 words they say.
Sometimes I listen to it quiet. I mean, they're not crammed in your ears quiet enough to block it all out if it's quiet. If your, podcast is not blaring, but and if people talk loudly, but no, that's interesting to me that like people with wired headphones don't get talked to because obviously they don't want to be talked to. But
yeah,
AirPods are different. I do get a lot of questions about AirPods and like, do I like them and do they stay charged?
I get a lot of that too.
Am I going to lose them? And
I still get a lot of people who are like, "Hey, I just bought I'm getting the new iPhone. I'm so pumped to get some AirPods." I'm like, "Oh, did you buy AirPods too?" No, they don't come with it. Like,
really?
They think that
I've never.
They'll even open the box and haven't unwrapped their headphones yet and think that those are AirPods.
Oh my gosh!
More than three people that's happened to at work.
Sad. What a bummer.
Similarly, in the last few weeks alone, I've pulled this, beautiful 12.9 inch iPad Pro in meetings, and they're like, "What is that?" Like it's some exotic
oh my God. Well,
animal.
That's more legit to me.
Is it though? They've been out for,
But how many have you seen?
Out in the wild?
Yeah.
I guess that's a fair point. I've seen when I have seen them, what people are doing on them is pretty offensive. Because they're like playing some Candy Crush or something on their 12.9. Yeah. I've seen them more on airplanes when I've been traveling than just normal.
The one I see the most often is the one that our worship leader uses on his piano.
That's a good use.
And it's really great because you get 2 pages. So if you have a song that goes 2 pages, on all the 9.7s that most people have, they have to swipe real quick to get to that second page when we go to the bridge, right?
Yeah.
But the piano player can't stop, man.
That's a good use case.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spend a sacrilegious amount of time analyzing the iPads that are being used by the.
Okay, but I still think this is like, come on, it's been almost 3 years, and you're like, you've never seen
3 years.
Well, by the end of this year, it will be. But
it came out in December. Of 2016.
Of 15.
15. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's 3 years. I can't believe I got that.
I know, right?
I just I called Jen on like the day that she needed to be called to ask about something like that.
Well,
it really, to a certain extent, because
the way that stuff works, it's not coming out of her budget, but
I think it ended up doing because like Dusty was like, it's your asset, like here it is, true. Like it's not managed. I mean, back then, it's amazing to me that like I felt like I would love to have one, so here's what I'll do with it. But I was really unsure about like, is that really enough reason to get one? But the reason that we got one is because Terrell was like, your team should have an iPad.
Well, right? And let's also be honest about Jen was very good.
Great.
At,
good, not great. I mean, great.
Great, not good.
Great, not good. Sorry.
She was great at, hey, here's something that this person wants.
A perk, yeah.
And it will give them some greater level of enjoyment.
She was a Jedi.
Yeah, in their work.
She's an absolute Jedi.
And so, who cares?
She tricked me into working harder. Darn Jen Milwee.
I still have monthly check-ins with her, even though she no longer works at Axiom.
Nice. Yeah, very nice. We text back and forth sometimes.
She's still officially my mentor. So
very nice.
She's gotten me through a lot of things.
Well, you've put yourself through a lot of things to get to.
Yeah, that's true. She has helped me navigate them very swiftly.
I'm glad you had somebody to do that for you.
Otherwise,
you need it.
Might not have gone so well.
TVs. We got to talk about TVs and save it. And I don't really even want to talk about TVs, but we should talk about TVs because I thought I was fine with my TVs.
Yeah.
And I am fine with my TVs, for the record. I got to keep telling myself that.
Don't come to my house.
Especially the more that I watch hockey is the ultimate, to me, seller of a big TV. If you really enjoy watching hockey, it is easy to lose that puck on a on a 720
fair enough
42-inch TV. Like I can see the hockey and tennis to me are, because like tennis is just like gorgeous in HD. Like I remember the first time I watched tennis in HD after watching it in SD, and it's just like so pitch in golf and like those picturesque ones where like you get landscape shots and you get, it's almost like planet Earth with sports.
Okay. I guess that's true.
Golf is like the planet Earth of sports.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Very serene.
Yeah.
And then not serene.
Yes.
When, like when the animals start to kill each other.
Right.
I thought what ruined TVs for me was
go ahead.
Was the 10. The iPhone
Really?
10 having that OLED screen.
That's a solid episode right there.
Yeah. And that's why I have a
TVs and the iPhone 10.
LG OLED TV now.
So the episode that I have always wanted to do, and the episode that I thought of that made me want to do a podcast with you initially, because I was like, I just wanted to do that podcast with him. I want to do that episode with Levi. And then I'm sure there's other episodes we could do. It's just like your history with Apple.
Yeah.
And we could do like a Mac segment there, and we could do an iPod even.
That
like
was
an i segment.
That was the first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think I have a, like everybody I think has everybody that ends up being really into Apple usually has an interesting, well, I don't know. Marco and Casey don't really have interesting. It became popular, and so they started using it. But
they wanted to be cool.
People that have I have like childhood experiences with Macs. I don't know if you have any childhood experiences.
I do
with Macs, and to me that's really interesting. That like I had these like points along the way where I hit Macs and was like I didn't even know that I was like, this is a cool computer.
Yeah,
this is way better than like the Dell we have at home. I didn't know why it was way better, but my best friend until I was in 8th grade was a computer science. His dad was my best friend was a computer science professor at UCA. His dad was a computer science professor at UCA.
Not surprised.
And
I'm not surprised that your best friend was a computer science.
And then his dad and then his dad was a computer science professor at the Air Force Academy because he was a dang good computer science professor. And so they had Macs, and so we can get in. That was my first. And the library had, anyways.
Save it for the show.
Save it for the show. Is that what we call it? Is that our name?
Save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
I like it, actually. Because, that's it.
And that's what we're doing.
Because every time we've ever talked about anything, even back when I was like still adamantly against doing it, you would always be like, save it for the show.
That is, yes.
Or we should do that in a podcast someday with things you would say.
Yes, I even, I have like, that's the first episode of.
And by the way,
Talk.
I finally came over to this. It's been a long time. And we're just now, I can't remember exactly how long, but it's been months and months. When was it? Because it was like,
we have lives.
I was in my car,
right,
ready to come to your house, and then it just didn't work out.
It did not.
Yeah. Because, like you said, lives,
lives.
It's hard.
Lives.
But
family.
when was that? That was. It was a long time ago.
October. Maybe?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's my guess.
It's been a while. Yeah. It just takes time. But I really think, if we just do it, then it's just going to happen.
I think you're right about that. And you should save things for the show.
Save it for the show?
I think it's save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
Yeah.
I like it.
And there's 4 is all lowercase and D is all lowercase. And it is capitalized.
Okay. Okay. Those are things I just have to let go.
You just have to give me that.
And I'm fine.
This has been our whole relationship is you giving me the things that I've got to have because you don't care about them at all.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. You can have that. Yeah. I had to do a lot of that moving to IT for my 18-month stint.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't care about that many things, but the things I care about,
You care deeply.
I care the heck out of them.
Like you can't do anything else until we agree.
To a detriment of my mental health. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, so
And focus
the opposite of that it works out.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which is why we workshopped something that was like way too close to irreconcilable, something or other at some point when we were talking podcast names.
Oh, yeah. Just being
irreconcilable similarities.
Yeah. Yeah. Being stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't do that. Saver for the show is solid.
Which, yeah. I mean, but we need a good tag and a good description. Because it doesn't really tell you what it is.
Well, but it does tell you what it is.
For us.
But that's what this is for.
True.
Saver for the show is where Levi and Philip get to talk about the things that they want to talk about together.
And then if people listen someday, great. And they won't, but that's okay.
This keyboard is so freaking the best. I kind of want to use it, but then I got Command instead of Windows, and like, how's that going to work?
And that's a problem. Why?
So just because of spacing and because Command is not, Control is not at the edge now. I mean, you get your F and key. And I share that with people. And then I give credit to Marco Arman because he deserves credit for it. It's the F and key.
Yeah.
And people love that. And I have my Wacom tablet. And people are like, I thought that was Wacom. I was like, well, that's a really dumb way to say it because it's not fun at all. Don't you like the Wacom tablet? Yes, it's fun to say Wacom.
Yeah.
I use the Wacom tablet as an enormous trackpad is what I use it for because I want a trackpad. And I don't have a Mac. So that's probably one of the main things I miss.
I tell people this all the time and they think I'm weird. Every day when I sit in front of that iMac and turn it on, I feel legit happy to be at work.
Yeah.
And then it goes away quickly when I actually have to start working. Yeah. But that brief moment where I'm like setting my stuff down and turning on this big, beautiful,
enormous
beastly
monitor.
Machine
with all matching accessories.
I'm like, this is great. Like, if you just keep buying me toys like this, I'll never leave.
How long did I feel that way? 4 months
with your 4K.
Oh, those were incredible, dude. Yeah. They were ultra fine.
They were ultra fine.
I think about that because like I don't really, thankfully, like I don't really think about the fact that I don't use Retina displays.
That would be hard.
Because that'd be hard because. Like, you just do it. You just do what you do. You do what you have to do. Windows high DPI is a joke. It's amazing to me that it is. Like, I don't understand how they don't have like, it's amazing. But what was I going to say? Oh, so I was thinking about this point exactly that like when I was in the shower this morning listening to last night listening to ATP. And they're like talking about how like this is far from a golden age for the Mac. And then like Marco was like, except for the iMac, and the iMac Pro,
and the iPad,
and the soon to be Mac Pro, and the iPad and the iPad Pro. Like the MacBook Pro is the only thing that he thinks is not wonderful. And I love the heck out of the MacBook Pro that I had for 4 months, and that you now have.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, save it for the show, but
this is the show.
If I had to pick anything I would want to work in front of, it's that iMac.
Yeah.
It's that 5K iMac.
Yeah.
And so much so that like, I have the laptop, and when I'm at home, if it's not something I really need the laptop for, I'm like,
save it for the
going to go to the iPad. Yeah.
Oh, to the iPad.
Yeah. Like, if I'm just doing stuff from home.
That's the other, that's one reason, like I reconcile what I have to work with and the tools I have to work with. Cause like I can't do anything on the iPad for work other than email and taking notes. And if it's not coming through email, I can't do it on the iPad because you got to be through like 6 different VPNs to get, not literally, but to get to what you need. So it works.
Well, we finally answered
work. We answered
the main question.
The main question. And it only took us.
I don't know, because it started a new track at some point.
Probably after an hour, right?
It was short. It must have been shortly after, because I did see it when we hit an hour.
Okay.
It's probably like a file size limit. I wouldn't know, because I never record anything this insanely long. Very rarely.
An hour and 18 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
but so this is one thing that I thought about, and I think I have it. I have my notes.
Yeah, how long should episodes be?
You copied those over. Thank you. I hadn't done that yet. Get that True Tone display out of my face. Not even True Tone, but
this isn't a True Tone display.
Oh, because you just don't have night shift on, do you?
Probably not. I don't like night shift.
Interesting. I do have night shift. I like night shift. I'm a fan of sleeping. Night shift, sunset to sunrise, right in the middle. I've gotten used to it. Although it is really obnoxious, because the 8 screen
night shift off.
You should turn that on, because that's way blue lighted. The 8 screen gets so much brighter than the SE screen. Surprise, surprise. So like I was trying to like sync up the settings, but I'm like, well, these look totally completely different with the same settings.
The True Tone, yeah.
Like there's it's not an OLED to LED display thing. No,
right.
They're all, but it's a completely different display. Completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. That True Tone's.
But I really like having the 8. I'm excited to have the 8 because I miss having, because like I have the SE. And this is what we should do, is we should say what we use. That's what we should do now.
Well, we should save that for the show.
But that's going to be part of this first show.
But this is episode 0.
But this is the intro, and we'll say it again if we have to on an actual
I feel like we did what we needed to do with this episode. Close to it, yeah. I mean, there's some other questions, but I feel like we've kind of answered them.
So I'll just say this, and I'll say it again if I have to. So I have the SE, and I have the full-size iPad. I don't have an iPad mini, and the iPad mini, I'm just mad. Yeah, they're never going to release it, because that's a great, incredible.
And this full-size iPad is the 2017.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, this is I got it for $309 as an educational discount, because Well, see, I could have done it totally legitly, because Blair was a student, so she could have bought it for me.
You could have.
I still have my teacher. I still have my teacher ID, so like we're all good. SPP has a discount at the Apple Store.
That's nice.
10% on accessories.
On accessories?
I've used it, and like 2% on stuff, 4% on this other more expensive stuff. You don't get 10% on, but
yeah.
But I'm glad to have something in between these two. The X is a whole conversation to be had.
What did you say?
The 10. I just said it. That's the first time I've ever said it. Literally.
You're an embarrassment.
I never thought it would happen to me.
Dare you?
Never thought it would happen to me.
No, I used to call it, OS X all the time.
There you go. There you go. I'm sure I did.
But that was because I just came into that. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Nobody told me.
Save that history, man.
But yeah, I haven't called it the X.
I have not until I understand now how a podcaster would do it, because like you're not like preparing yourself to say it. You're just about to say it, and you see the X in your mind, and so you say X, but it's a 10. But the 10 is a whole, like, speaking of, that's another thing I get. I mean, we can talk about shopping for tech if we want to, because like I get so locked up trying to pick tech and like, should I upgrade and should I not? Because I just feel like, well, there's no right answer here.
I wasn't gonna get it. Like
until you did.
I was totally not going to get it. And then I woke up at 6:30 that morning, just woke up.
Yep.
Like no alarm, just my eyes open.
It's a sign.
And I was like, what is happening right now? And the first thing I did was grab my phone. And they were still available through AT&T, for pre-order. And so
that's kind of how I got that's how I got in the Apple Watch. I ordered my Apple Watch. I set an alarm for the middle of the night, and it went off. And I think I fell asleep or something.
Like, it's not that important.
And because I was on the fence, because I knew that I was going to get it, and then I was just going to use it for 14 days and then very well return it because like it's hella expensive. I mean, it was like $483 or something after tax and Apple Care.
They were really expensive at the start.
Dang it, like $400. It was $399 for the 42. Plus, I was going to get Apple Care because like it seemed like the right thing to do.
New product,
and it didn't pan out. But that's what Apple Care does. You buy it, so you don't have to use it. But
yeah, that's save it for the show.
That's what happens. But yeah,
it's been a long time since I've bought Apple Care on something.
That maybe I bought it on the 2010 MacBook Pro, and I bought it on the Apple Watch. But so I bought it on the 2010 MacBook Pro with the Education Apple Care, which is like almost it gets close to a no-brainer, especially back then because their repair policies were different. Now that they have like flat fee repairs where they'll like bundle a bunch of parts together and be like, okay, the total is like $560, but let's just do it for $279. And you're like, okay, that's only like $100. Well, because I think like actual Apple Care is like $299 or something for a MacBook Pro 15-inch. I don't know what it is. And then like education's like $179. So it's like, well, that kind of makes sense. But then you don't end up using it. And like Marco says, it does make sense just to get out ahead of it and never use it. But what are you going to do? I've used Apple Care. I take that back. So I haven't bought. So initial iPhones I used to buy used, I would get with Apple Care a lot of times because people had bought them with Apple Care. And I've used it before. And it was very nice to have.
That reminds me of a story.
Go ahead.
About someone I know bought an iMac on like online yard sale. And it was one of those, hey, it's not working. I don't know what's wrong with it, but like if somebody just wants this, they can have it type of thing. And so he got it for free. And then he took it home and he checked the serial number online and it was still under Apple Care warranty.
Oh my gosh.
So he took it in and got it fixed for free.
Gosh.
And had,
can you imagine
big old 27-inch iMac? Can
you imagine living that life where you just bought something like 6 months ago and you're like,
here's the thing though, like is what that person did wrong? Like should he have taken it back to that person and been like, hey, it's under Apple Care?
No, because that person doesn't deserve to have that machine.
Now we're getting into some serious morality.
I'm going to take a hard stance there. That person should not have that machine. I mean, this is what I told Bart all the time. Is like Bart would like slightly push back on me to be like, well, if I give you that, then I got to give everybody that. And I was like, no, you don't, because they're not going to use it to its fullest extent. So just give us the trackpad, keyboard, and mouse. Give other people the plain old Dell stuff because that's what they're going to use. And the iPad Pro, like I never felt bad about the fact that like no one else would ask about the iPad Pro because like, okay, you're not going to use it. Like that's all fine and good.
Well, if it makes you feel better, they do roll out iPad Pros now. So you probably pioneered that endeavor.
I try, man.
Yeah. And I got all the benefits of it.
I mean, I got a solid year and a...
You did?
And a quarter.
Yeah. And I've been really using it.
And let me tell you, this machine is the freaking best when you're on the road on a Friday afternoon, getting to Oklahoma a little bit earlier and working from the road.
Yeah.
While you're...
I remember you
drives that. Or watching Arkansas play the first round of the NCAA tournament on the road, tethered to your cell phone on I-40 going to Oklahoma. That machine was a beast.
But it probably wasn't a great, outcome.
No, Seton Hall. They won, and then they should have beat North Carolina, but that's...
Oh, was this like...
Last year.
Oh, okay. Not this past
like right before.
Tournament.
Like it was like the last thing I did with that maybe. Holding on to that.
All right, man. What more do we have to talk about tonight? I mean, we came up with a name, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think we would
impressed.
do that.
It just happened, man. That's what has to happen. It's like a nickname, like you can't force a nickname. You know this. I mean, this is your other gig, right? You can't force a nickname.
No, yeah, it's just got to come.
It's got to come.
On you.
And if you try to force it, it's never going to work.
Yeah, I did come up with some more nicknames this past year.
That.
Yeah,
like good on you, mate.
It just happens because you just say something.
Yes.
As a player's doing something, and then it just
Precisely.
Yeah, just happens.
Yep. So the tagline that I put down, I think I said this. I feel like we're like talking titles now. But I just said where Levi and Philip get to talk about things they want to talk about together. To me, that's what the show is. Now, does that make it interesting to anyone else? Well, I don't know. I don't know what can make it interesting to anyone else. Because like, why should anyone care what our histories are or what we think? I care about you and you care about me, and you know.
I feel like there needs to be some kind of tech thing though in there.
In the tagline.
Yeah. Or somewhere.
We can have a tech
or like maybe
logo.
Just the
logo can be a computer. Not even. It can be what's a computer?
What's a computer? Yeah. Now, this is the other interesting thing that most of the podcasts I listen to, the people aren't ever together.
I was thinking about this.
So it's already kind of a different thing.
And I was actually thinking about this in the scope of when you start a podcast, because most people when they start a podcast, they start it a little bit like a phone conversation because they say hello to each other.
Yeah.
Right. Because they just picked up the Skype
What's going on?
Right.
How you been?
How's the weather? No, we have no time for that. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
Sorry. You listen to Merlin Mann and Jason Snell on Upgrade this week.
I did. Yeah. That was another one that just kind of washed over me.
Man, you're doing too much work while you're listening to podcasts.
Well, and sometimes, so here's another thing is, I often will play a podcast as I'm laying down with my boys to, get them to, I usually don't stay in there until they fall asleep. It's just like I'll lay with one of them and then I'll go to the other because they're in the same room. But here lately I've been falling asleep in one of their beds, use
a sleep timer, man.
Well,
I've been doing that pretty frequently now.
I don't think about it. And I'll be in the middle of a podcast. I'll have a podcast in one ear.
Yep.
As I'm laying down and then I'll wake up and it's over.
Yep. That's what the sleep timer is solid for, man.
Yeah.
I told you though that the sleep timer time is actual amount of time, not podcast time. Because that tripped me out one time because I had like 18 minutes left, not 18, like 60 minutes left in a podcast. And I set a 15-minute sleep timer. And I woke up the next morning and I was like 2 minutes into the next podcast and that one was gone. I was like, what the crap?
That's smart speed, man.
Get you every time. 60% of the time it works
every time. 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 Every time.